Hey, this is Ryan. You're watching Burnwood Bushcraft. Today we're going to talk about starting a fire with a ferrocerium rod, a campfire, aka ferro rod, fire steel. Maybe you're new to bushcraft, survival, or prepping, and you want to be able to start a fire with the ferro rod. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that I use that work for me to ensure that I get a fire started quickly with little effort. So what I have here is some inner bark from a poplar tree. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I have two different sizes of ferro rods here. I think the little one is a 1/4 inch and the big one is a 1/2. It doesn't matter what size ferro rod you have, your technique should be the same. So this is a piece of bark right here. Now you can use cotton balls or dryer lint from your home, something that's really fibrous that will catch a spark fairly easy. And what I've done already is just take my knife and just kind of rake back, just kind of fluff up some of that bark. This is the stuff that you're going to want to strike your ferro rod on. This is called tinder, fire tinder. So here you see that I have some bark already fluffed up. You just put it in your hand, just fluff it up really good. And then we've got some here that's a little thicker for after we get a spark and get a flame, and even bigger. Now you can choose to do fat wood. Now you can also choose to do fat wood. Just make sure your scrapings are very fine before you get started, and we'll do that here in just a little bit. All right, for demonstration purposes, we're just going to try to catch a spark right here on this log. With this ferro rod, I have a striker tied to it with paracord, so it's always together. It's got a sharp edge to it on the striker. First thing you want to do with your ferro rod is remove some of the paint, because more than likely it's going to be painted. Just remove some of the paint, which I already have done here. And what works best for me is to ground your ferro rod onto the surface of the log. That way you're limiting your movement. Put your striker on the rod, angle it forward about 45 degrees. Make a couple passes, because that's removing some of the material which might help create a spark. So what I do is I push down right on that tinder so that it doesn't go anywhere. You don't have to dig into your ferro rod. There we go. Now we're going to try a bigger ferro rod. The paint's already been removed. In this case, I'm going to use the back of my knife. The spine of my knife has a 90-degree edge to it. We're going to push down on that bark. Ground the ferro rod onto the log so you don't get any movement. And same thing. Angle just a little bit forward. And do a smooth, long stroke. There it goes. You can also use a multi-tool. In this case, I'm using the saw blade. I'm going to use the back of the saw blade, the spine of the saw blade. Before you're ready to start your campfire, you want to make sure that you have your fire kindling ready to go and already prepped, because you don't want to mess around trying to start your tinder and then you have to go find your kindling, because your tinder is going to go out and you're not going to get a fire started. So as you can see, I have some small twigs dry, and you want to make sure that the twigs are pretty fine. Pencil lead size would be best. That's a little bit of a mixture there. And then we have graduated to a little bit bigger, pencil size a little bigger than that, and then here we have some bigger pieces. So inside my fire ring here, fire square, I have a base of logs that I sawed, just some limbs that I sawed up and put in there, because you want your fire to be able to have something to grow on. So that's why we put a base in there to start our fire. So now we're ready to start our fire. I'm going to grab all my bark and have it right here next to me. So on the base, we're going to put the finest, the most fibrous pieces of bark, front and center. We're going to take our ferro rod with the striker, and again we're going to push down on that tinder. As soon as this goes and I see that it flames up, I'm going to move another bundle of bark over to it, and we'll just keep doing that until it all goes. Then I can go over here and grab my twigs that I have prepped. And it helps if you turn it over so it grows on top of itself. Gently place a little more bark on top. So really your main goal is to be able to use stuff that you find in the wilderness to start your fire. But cotton balls and dryer lint, they're fine too. So now I'm pretty confident that's going to keep growing. We're going to grab our fine twigs, put them right on top. And you want to try not to disrupt your tinder bundle from going out. Once we know that the fine stuff is going, we just grab our slightly bigger stuff, put it on there, right on top. Now we know we got a good fire established. We're gonna put our bigger stuff. And we're gonna lay it opposite way. Now we have a campfire established. At this point, you want to make sure you have more wood ready to keep this fire growing. Alright, so before we go, I want to demonstrate making tinder out of a piece of fatwood. Fatwood is really resinous pine. You can find that all over the forest if you know what you're looking for. So with this technique, we're just going to put the fatwood right on the log here. I'm going to use the spine of my knife, angle it forward just like you would with your ferro rod. We're going to try to make some fine scrapings, something like that. So we have some scrapings already. We'll move those to the side. Now I'm going to do some shavings. This amount of scraping should be all that you need. So we'll put our shavings and our scrapings up here, and this is for demonstration purposes. Obviously you don't want to start a fire unless it's in a safe spot, but this is for demonstration only. We're going to take our ferro rod, the scrapings took off pretty fast, so now we'll put slide our shavings in, and all that's going to catch. Move my bandana before it burns. Fatwood will burn for quite a while. So now you have plenty of time to put your kindling on to ensure that your fire grows the way that you want it to. So I hope this video was helpful. Within no time, with a little practice and trial and error, you'll be on your way to mastering the ferro rod. Until next time, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.